All right, all right, all right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Diasporic Nigerian. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the Nigerian Professionals in Canada series, where we chat with Nigerian professionals in Canada about all the good things that they're doing. In today's episode, we're chatting with no other person than Patrick. Patrick, how are you? How are you doing?
Good, though. I'm so, grateful for this whole platform, Been watching,
We got you. Welcome. So now I'm just going to read your bio and later on you can tell us more about you. All right. So Patrick PA.II Pillah's versatility has enabled him to create a blend of genres, so Afrobeat, R&B, dancehall, and more, into a sound that transcends time and space. And the label is Yama Yama Sound. PA.II is an artist, producer, and all-round creative hailing from the middle belt of Nigeria, so Benue State. If you're from Benue State, shout out to you right now.
Oh, yeah, there.
Patrick grew up in Abuja for majority of his childhood, where he finished primary and secondary school, and then moved to Canada in 2012 for university. Since then, the Sudbury and Toronto Artist has released a series of projects, and he's going to tell us more about those projects in this interview. So, welcome, welcome, welcome once again.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
For sure. We're so glad to have you as well. So, where was the last place you traveled to before COVID started?
Before COVID, I would say Toronto.
Okay.
Toronto, because I'm mostly like a school out of Sudbury. So like I kind of go back and forth. That's kind of how my business works, because the music industry in Canada in Coke is in Toronto. So if I want to like be in the circles of like creatives and stuff, I kind of have to go down back and forth like that. That's kind of how my business works.
Okay, so let's talk more about this music industry. So how did you get started? Was this something that you were doing when you were in Abuja, or is this something that started when you came to Canada?
Man, this is like since I was a kid. Like if anyone who knows me knows like music and me is like since we were kids, like since I was like I can remember. I remember my dad used to wake us up, like me and my brothers. Then we were 3, now we're 4 boys. My dad used to wake us all up with this Catholic song, but he used to flip it. It's this song, I don't know if you know it, but it's Children of Jesus, hey, children of a great Father, da 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 da, hallelujah. If my dad would flip it, he would be like, children of Pillah, hey, children of a great Father. So now he's the great Father, Yeah. That's how he used to wake us up since like nursery school, and I remember that's like something I remember vividly, because it was all 3 of us on the same bed, and we're that small. If you see us now, we can't even. We need 2 beds to fit 1 person. So yeah, it's from that time, So it's from that young, I think, like I kind of had that, music in my head. But then, like I would say professionally, I would say it started. High school is not professional, but we kind of got popular in high school. Like we're performing around proms, and like I would say from every prom around Abuja, at least most of them, from when I was in SS1 to SS3, like we performed. Like me, I and my group were in a group then. We're called YC, way before this Jagaban guy, way before. Yeah, you cast them. Like we're about 7 guys, 2 girls, and we just made tracks that some people would say can still hang, but that's kind of where I went outside with it. But then that was the initial stages. But professionally, I started in Canada here. Once we started the whole Pillah series, that's kind of like the whole thing for me. Pillah is kind of like the journey, like the beginning from like where everything started up until now. Yeah.
So do you want to tell us about Pillah itself, the main project? I know there's like multiple albums and all of that. Do you want to take us through what that process has been like?
Okay, so as you said, that's with your introduction, my last name is Pillah, and I wanted to create a project where I could do for pretty much the rest of my life. I knew like being an independent artist and also moving from Abuja to a whole new city, it was almost like pressing reset. So I knew I was not gonna take off like immediately. So I wanted a situation where at any point anybody kind of catches up to what I'm doing, they could easily kind of track back to the beginning where it started, and you could see, okay, what's the name of this project? Is Illa V. What's the name of the next one? Illa Z. What's the name of the next one? You. And like, so once anybody catches up, they could easily like track back to the beginning. And I kind of thought about something where maybe I'm dead and gone, long, like far in another place. Who knows what's there? Someone would like, it's like somewhere, somehow, like my music could serve as its own like world, its own like experience. Like if you say, okay, you want to spell your name out of my EPs or my projects, just for like, let's say a road trip or something like that, you could get your own experience out of that, because every project is super different. Like I try to kind of also, how will I say it better? Document the journey. That's, I think, the most important thing about the Illa series is like the way I document the journey through time and experience ever since I kind of left home. It's like my way of like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This has been the experience for the last, let's say, 2 years or 3, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's totally cool. I think I was on one of the projects.
So you know, because of what you did on that song, for a long time, people, like, then I went by Pablo, and people called me Pablo, and because there's a lot of Pablos in the world, right? So you say Pablo, what Pablo? Which Pablo? Escobar? Who? They say Pablo, Mr. Lover. And it sounded super funky, but it's simply because of that was my biggest song as at the time, you know. And I remember we went on tour with you know, like I performed with you too a couple times, you know. And those that your fans that don't know, Mary they sing, you know, Mary sings, you know. If you have time, check it out. She's on Baby. It was my biggest song at the time, and you know, she's credited. She's the lead singer on the hook. Like the hook is not complete without Mary. So check it out, man. And I still appreciate you for coming through, because, hey, man, you came from your base to Oshawa, you know. And mostly nowadays, if you want to work with people, you send it over, and you came through, you know. So I really appreciate that, you know.
I got you. Don't worry. So I know, besides producing, you know, your own thing, you also produce for other people. So what was your first like production experience for a different artist? What was that like for you?
I would say the first beat I kind of produced for another person, it was I think it was music we were doing with Zero Music at the time. So I was in a kind of like, I don't want to say group, I'd rather say organization or label. Then I started it with his, and we had a bunch of artists that were in the clique. And so like I was on there as a singer and also a producer. So most of the singles, like most of the songs we put out at the time, I produced. And that was kind of my first experience producing for another person that wasn't myself. I don't want to count anything before that time, because that's what it be, you know. it's not that, you know, there's the learning process, and it does sound that great. But I would say professional, like, you know, songs that I could still listen to even now is the whole Zero Music times. We went on tour with that music. So
yeah. All right. And who are some artists that you've worked with either within Canada or outside Canada?
In Canada, I would say most of Africans, like most of artists with African descent, like most of them I've worked with some way, somehow. They may not know, but they've touched it some way, somehow in Canada. And outside of Canada, man, I'm huge on, like, if you don't know, maybe like, my neighborhood in Abuja, right, is super musical. Like I can name so many musicians that have come through. I don't want to say they lived in there, but like my neighborhood was like the spot, like, you know, it was a spot like you could go back to, you know, 6 foot plus from Anwali days down to even techno, you know. Techno was in my hood every day, literally. So we we grew up to a certain sense in a similar setting. So we worked. I don't want to say we made a song but then everything kind of grew up in a, like we kind of had the same inspirations and build up the same thing. But I've not worked with any kind of like established Nigerian act yet. But I'll say right now, the person I'm most excited working out of Nigeria is the producer I learned most of what I do today from. His name is Danny Cool. He didn't literally teach me because the guy didn't know how good he was at the time, you know. So he was just doing it, but I watched him. I'm like, this guy was like, then he was like 19 and I was like maybe 16. I was super young. And no, way before 16, way before, like maybe 13 even. I watched him and this studio was super ghetto. Like if you get into, like he stayed in the police barrack and the studio was in his mom's storage room in her kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. There's video, there's footage. You will see it in the documentary.
Yeah.
So like I used to go there every day. Literally, my mom have beat me out of there countless times. She has dragged me out of my ear, get out. Why you stay here at 1 a.m.? That type of stuff. We still laugh about it. But I watched Danny Cool for so long. Like he was a legend in my neighborhood. He's super popular in my neighborhood. Like I saw kids change their name from, let's say your name is Nusute, change his name to like C Cool because they wanted to be Danny Cool. He's like our whiskey in my neighborhood, you know. And we were working together, like, you know, we're working together since that time up until I left. And when I left, we kind of lost contact. That's kind of why I even started producing, because most of the producers I was working with, they didn't really, I didn't feel that that connection. I don't want to say talent level, but connection wasn't there like that. So I started producing by myself just to see if I could, you know, try emulate it. And up until date, you know, Danny is super special in my heart, bro. Because he didn't say, yo, this is like this, but he let me hang. You know, in Nigeria, it's super funky because everybody's hungry. Producers, you get into a studio and produce, like, it's time to mix or you finish recording. It tells you go outside. I've sat down with chickens severally. Like, they're mixing my song inside. I'm sitting outside with chicken, hearing myself from outside. You know, because the guy doesn't want me to know what's happening, things like that. So Danny Cool let me stay. So forever I'm grateful, you know. And he's on the project now. That's the first song we've done since I was in high school. So I'm very grateful about that. Yeah.
That's really
I'm not saying a long answer, but
no, that's fine. I feel like it has all come, you know, full circle for you. So that's beautiful. So in your journey, what can you say are some things that have been either highlights or lowlights? Because with every single process, there are some things that are really nice, and then some bad parts that just almost derail what it is that you're doing. So can you share some highlights or lowlights?
Lowlight, I will start with there, then we'll go to the highlights because it's better, you know. But the lowlights here in music and this whole music journey, me, I'm very sincere. I'm not into high. It's difficult. Like, it's never gonna happen like you think about it. Like you think about it, but then you'll be lucky if it happens just like that. But it turned out, like, I was lucky initially when I was a kid. I think I just got that whole cute kid thing. Like, he's doing something less, you know, and once he became like super professional with it, it's super tough. And trying to balance it with like trying to get a professional degree too, that's difficult. Like, if I knew how difficult it was initially, maybe I wouldn't have, you know, been in like as hard as I was, like as I was going like then. But thinking about it, I wouldn't even do it any different now. But like that's the hardest part for me, balancing like education and trying to chase this music thing, because I'm from a home where I kind of knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. But you know, as a day now, when you come from our background, you can't be waste. You know, if you don't, you don't waste. so I kind of promised my dad that I was gonna, you know, do a degree at some point, and as long as, you know, give me your blessings, let me do my music. You know, finally he agreed. So we just finished the whole thing, and now we're taking this thing fully. That's the low part. And then the high part, I would say, is kind of watching yourself grow. Like being able to look back and like, because it's before Instagram, yeah. Before Instagram, it was a period where like before, if you want to keep like record or stuff like that, it was difficult. It was difficult to like keep record of what's happening and stuff like that. But my music was kind of, if I listen back to my music, I'm able to, you know, that's what I was doing when I was 17. That's what I was doing when I was 18. It's what I was doing. Like, that's how I was thinking when I was this period, because my music is heavily personal. It's heavily like experiential. Like, I'm not talking rubbish, you know, it's if you know me, I know they lie, you know.
So I know that you have, new projects coming out. You've talked about documenting, that whole experience, but I want you to tell us more what's next for Yama Sound as a whole.
Okay. In January, we put out, like early this year, we put out our first artist. Like, Yama is a company we started. It's a label amongst other things, because we're trying to mix it up. Yama is, we put out our first artist. His name is Pablo. He just put out his project. It's called GFP, God Family Purpose. Incredible person. And that was out in, I would say, a couple months came out. But now in a month or so, sorry, I'm just setting up this thing. In a month or so, we are putting out Pillah, the fifth project. It's Pillah V, and by God's grace, I think it's the best one so far, because we're trying to kind of take it to the next stage. You know, we're trying to compete on all levels. So we say, like, initially, you know, you can hear the learning process, you can, figuring things out. But now I feel like, you know, taking it to that next level where anywhere in the world, you know, we can hang, you know. Sorry for the whole mishap, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's totally fine. So I feel like for a lot of creatives, we do so much work, but, we forget to take care of ourselves. So what does self-development and self-care look like for you?
For me, yeah, I try to pray. And I try to work out too. Because I eat like, oh boy, hey. Yo, Nigerian food there, yo. Sometimes, you know, you forget, but then I try to, like, you know, keep a active lifestyle, pray, and then work out, you know. I don't want to lie and tell you, you know, I diet and I chop as it come. but we try to, you know, keep a healthy lifestyle, try to work out, try to, you know, so that, you know, our neck will still stay together more, you know, for no drop.
So where can, people learn more about you? Where can we find your projects?
I have a website. It's called yamasound.com. Pretty much anything you want to know about what we're doing is on there. And on social media, PA.II official, pronounced PA.II. I like to spell them out because person will look me and say pi. You know, so PA.II and, you know, PA.II official on every social media, every day, you know, to support the brand, you know. Appreciate so much for this, you know. I'm so happy you're doing this.
For sure. I'm very happy as well. So at this point, do you have any questions for us as the diasporic Nigerian?
Okay. I have a question for diasporic Nigerian, right? Mm-hmm. But I have a question for you personally.
Okay.
You know, some of us that know your music side, we've been wondering, you understand? We've been wondering, is there a comeback? You know, they come back, because Mary na complete artist, so Mary they dance, they sing, guy, you know, is there a comeback? You know, can we? That's the personal one. Diasporic Nigerian is super cool. I think is a way that a lot of us can, you know, link up, catch up to some of the things that we like. I kind of got the hope, like the things that we love, like the things that, you know, with that familiar, the things that make us kind of Nigerian youth in a way. I kind of got the whole point when you covered that Burna Boy event. I'm like, yo, you know, your coverage was, you know, kind of made the whole, like, I see the point. Like, I see, like, full circle. Like, if somebody sees your coverage, you go be like, say, you know, Burna Boy from house. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we just Nigerians, we like, some of us that watched him grow to the level, you know, it's kind of a little more special to see him, you know, elevate even more and finally have him around too. So it's a way that I feel like, a lot of us could, nowadays we say we don't even feel move. We see somebody talking about the things that we can relate. Because think about it, we're not on TV. There's nothing about us like, since we left Nigeria, left DSTV and everything, there's no content like that for us, like made by us, Most of the time you see some Nigerian on TV is faking it. It's trying to be some, So when I see you and, your type, your, content of your level, I appreciate it so much. So I would say the question I have for diasporic Nigerian is, are you ever going to do events? Because like I said, some of guys don't know Mary. No, say Mary gets, facets, levels. Are you ever going to do a diasporic Nigerian event? Because I want to know the kind of event you do. I want to know because, it's a super different companies. It's super different, like ideas. So I want to know, like, if you're going to do events, so we can come and, link up more for,
All right, so let me see which one I will answer first. I'll answer the diasporic Nigerian one. We've had like events here and there, but those were just like small scale events just to, get people around to meet other Nigerians, just specifically because we're in a pandemic and we've not been able to like meet people in person. So I do have a plan for the next couple of years, hopefully sooner rather than later, but I do want to host a Nigerian Professionals in Canada conference where I'm thinking of like a weekend long event where you could meet like different people from different industries, get people to talk. There was a similar thing that I think happened somewhere in the States, which had like the likes of Davido and the rest of them going to, I think like Harvard. It was like an African business conference, but that's not necessarily what I'm going for. I think when I talk about the diasporic Nigerian and what I see in the diasporic Nigerian, it's the power to tell stories. And I think a lot of times we focus on, or creatives focus on like telling stories of like the most popular people. And that's not my aim as the diasporic. And I want to highlight those people who have those distinct stories. And I think that type of conference will be something that will be dedicated to that. Obviously, there's going to be more of a structure to it. I don't want to put all of that out there yet.
I love the idea. I love what I'm hearing.
But that's definitely something that I'm thinking of. I'm just trying to figure out, where funding is going to come from for that, because this is a nonprofit. So have to figure out funding and all of that, and then we go from there.
We need it though. We need it, please. We need it because it will help, because it's nothing out there. It's you're serving a need. So like I'm happy that that direction is being covered some way, somehow. Like people that we hear this thing now, just think about like someone who is doing business and trying to be authentic with what they're doing, and they hear this. At least they know, at least within the next year or 2 years, at least there'll be a place for them to, if they want to go showcase, their business, maybe buy a booth, stuff like that. There's a place for that, even if it's not happening yet, their mind can still work. That's enough. I appreciate that. That's a great answer, bro. Jeez.
But in terms of the whole singing, Kidiko, I feel like that's one part of my life that I've
no, please. I know they for capping P. I know go tell person when you sabi sing, say you sabi sing. And you know me now, I don't feature everybody. There's like, you're good, like you can sing, and the tone you have. We could not be like, say we just can't hear me.
I will come back into singing for you, but we will see.
I will appreciate it. I will appreciate it if I could get you back on the tracks, just something, even if it's, hey, Mary has a comment, that's correct, Nigerian. We'll take it. Because, like, let me give you an example. Even talking is, to a certain degree, it kind of, person if he sings, I be talk too. It's almost the same muscle you're flexing. And you know how good you sound. We cannot hear you, but you sound good. You sound good on whether it's podcast or someone is just listening to you on YouTube or something like. You sound good. So please come and help my business. Help my.
Don't worry, we'll discuss all of that later. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here on the Diasporic Nigerian today. This was a very fun interview. And yeah, please, please, please make sure you follow Patrick on Instagram. Check out his website. Stream his music on Spotify. If you're a Spotify person, I think it's on Apple Music too. So like go stream all his, like series and all of that, because this man's doing great work. Go stream that track that I'm on, because that was
the song is Baby. It's featuring BOS and Mary. Mary was spelled funky that time because Mary was funky. that was the era. Anyways, check it out. She's like the lead vocal on the song is Mary. Listen to it. She's amazing. In everything she does. I don't wanna. I know they for make her the sweets. Me at the talk as it be. When we came to Canada, a lot of people didn't give us a shot. You did. You did. You gave us a shot. A lot of people ignored what we're doing because they thought, another musician, you'll be done by next week. But you gave us a shot and you showed support. So forever I'm grateful. And however I could help, let's keep doing business. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing because, at the end of the day, I knew you from which year. We did business this year, So it's like, look at what you're doing now. It's not just for me. It's for everyone else that's like me. It's you're serving a need. I appreciate you forever, Mary. Forever. Thank you so much.
All right. This is the end of the interview. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a good day.